Who's in the primary with you? Is that you and Patrick White in the same primary? Okay. Anybody else in that primary? Because Patrick sent me a text message, but I hadn't responded to it. I just kind of consumed with other stuff right now. Yeah, he did. He sent me a text message, and I hadn't even really paid that much attention, but I know it's coming up in June, so we can get kind of tuned in.
So, Bonnie, are the mics on? Okay, perfect. All right, I call this May 9th meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Any changes to the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. And any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. On to the first item, subdivision Paddler's Cove, Track D.
Good evening, Planning Commission members. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Reinhardt. I am the Development Services Manager here with York County. And this thing always acts up. So as you said, this is for the vested rights extension of Tract E for Paddler's Cove. This is an overall kind of plan here. And the left side of the plan is actually Tract E. There's a approved preliminary plat right there on the right-hand side of the screen for Tract E. Of Paddler's Cove. It was originally approved for 195 lots on about 135 acres, approved in March of 2020. It was actually deferred at your last March meeting of this year with some requests from you. One of them was to revise the willingness capability letter. That letter, we talked to the applicant. They've reached out to Blue Granite. The response to that's in your packet. I believe it's on page 10 via email. In addition, there's a response from their attorney that I left at each of your seats today. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions, and I believe their attorney is here as well and may be willing to speak to y'all if y'all have any questions for them.
Do we have any questions of staff?
I've got a couple real quick. I noticed that there was something in here saying Blue Granite, and then there was another thing saying York County as far as providing water and sewer. So which is it that's looking to provide the water and sewer?
Blue Granite is the utility provider for the area. In other areas of the county, York County provides services as well, and we have to provide willingness and capability letters for other developments in other areas of the county. City of Rock Hill does as well. And if you read the letter, essentially what the gentleman from Blue Granite is saying is their letter's almost a carbon copy verbatim of what the county provides when the county engineering department provides when they're asked to provide a willingness and capability letter.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm asking my question well then. Why would two different utility providers be providing a capability letter? Which one is going to actually serve the development? And if that's Blue Granite, then why did York County provide one? And I'm just trying to clarify from what I read in the packet here.
I'm trying to figure out how to best explain the details. Essentially, a lot of the water is controlled through the City of Rock Hill. And
Right.
Since they're a provider and Blue Granite may purchase water from Rock Hill or York County may purchase water from Rock Hill. So willingness capability letter typically has to be provided from whatever entities are involved.
Okay.
Okay, so, thank you for this. I'm not sure what it says. But anyway, from what we ask, because we, as I understand it, Lake Wiley area has water shortages, problems with Blue Granite. So we were wanting clarification from Blue Granite that there would be no problem with getting water correctly without having to go to Charlotte Mecklenburg. Am I right?
Yes, I wasn't at the March meeting, but I did watch it to get up to date on it.
Okay,
And I'm sorry Paddler's Cove is the one kind of getting caught in the trap here. But the issue is we've had not just water shortages in that area because of Blue Granite, we've actually had no water in that area because of Blue Granite, completely out. And that line connection to Charlotte Mecklenburg was supposed to be for emergency use so that we would not run out of water again, not for daily usage. And they're using it on a daily basis. So that's, I think we just wanted to see, are they capable of supplying that without that daily connection? And I mean, they had 2 months to get back to us, and it was a week ago that the email came through with that information that they're not going to update it. And looking at the letter or the email from Blue Granite, it said, you know, if the county wants that information, the county should ask. Well, we did ask that. So I'm not quite sure. Do we need to go back to Blue Granite, defer it again? I mean, how do we get the information from Blue Granite? Does it need to come officially from the county, not from Paddler's Cove to get the information?
I can't speak to Blue Granite's practices or, you know, we, as a staff, from a staff standpoint, the utility, the entity provided us with a letter saying that they have the willingness and the capability to serve this development. And that's what we base our decisions off of and how we move forward. I'm not familiar with the connection to Charlotte Mecklenburg or how often it's used or what any involvement in that. I'm not familiar with that. And no one in our department would be either, so.
But I think that's why we, like I said, I wasn't here, but I think that's why the information was requested, was to make ourselves a little more familiar with what's actually happening there and what the capability actually is. So that we're not putting those residents in that situation again where they have serious water shortages or water outages, or we're pumping, how much are we pumping out of Charlotte and paying more to pump it out of Charlotte, and our rates are already ridiculous there. So I think they would like the information
clarified.
Yeah, you know, I think Blue Granite's response, y'all have a copy of that. I can't, that's,
Yeah, well, their response was no response. This is what we always do. This is what we're going to do. And if York County wants more, they need to send the request so it can be evaluated. So like I said, I think from watching the meeting, it looked like York County was making the request, although the written request came from Paddler's Cove, not from York County. So maybe have the written request come from York County instead of Paddler's Cove.
we typically don't interact with other private utilities. I don't know,
But if that's the only way they're gonna give us the information, I don't wanna hang it all on Paddler's Cove. This isn't their fault.
Right.
This is
Right.
Blue Granite's fault. It's not,
Yes.
and I don't have a problem. Paddler's Cove is a great neighborhood. I have family who live in there, friends. I don't want to hang it on them. This is not, I don't want to punish them for something the utility is not providing with 2 months of opportunity to provide it.
I'd like to, I guess, may I add to that as well? I know that there's a standard willingness and capability letter that comes out, but York County's not had an issue providing. They've not had problems with capability. It's Blue Granite Water that's had problems with capability. And that's where the concern comes in, because if you look at the same sections on vested rights in the ordinance, one of the statements is that no vested right in a site-specific development plan shall be established except in conformity with county planning, zoning, subdivision, stormwater management and sediment control, building, electrical, mechanical, life safety, fire, water and sewer, and other land use codes. Well, there's fire protection and water and sewer. If there is no water, there is no fire protection.
no, I
And
understand.
that's my concern. And in the agreement between the county and Blue Granite Water, that was established in the franchise agreement as a
I'm not
backup
familiar
connection.
with that agreement, so.
I understand, but it was established as a backup connection. I actually have that here. But it was established, I'd pull it up in just a minute, but it was established as a backup connection, not as a primary. And my concern is that as we continue to add in that area, and again, it's not against Paddler's Cove, it's the utility that's having the problem. As we continue to add additional capacity in the area, my concern is that what was intended as a backup connection becomes part of their primary delivery system. And if at any point in the future there's an issue in the area, we go back into another drought condition like we have in the past, I'm just not comfortable with them having to depend on someone else to meet their primary obligation. Especially when the county says they can provide all the water. See, if the county can provide all the water, it doesn't matter how many additional sources you add if Blue Granite can't deliver it to the customers. That's where the problem comes in. Because the county said they can provide all the water. Am I right?
I believe that's what it says, yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, I can't speak to a private utilities practices or anything like that. And like I said, staff, everything's based off of what they provide us with and their statement. And I don't feel that we as staff are necessarily in a position to question that from a planning standpoint, from our standpoint as we review the preliminary plat and the request for the plat extension. So.
But I think from a planning standpoint, we need to consider what the capability is if we're seeing consistent issues. Now, when it comes to York County or Rock Hill, what the other providers, if you're not seeing any consistent issues, no problem. But if you're seeing consistent issues, then we need to start saying, okay, if there is a drought situation, it's not even South Carolina that's delivering the water. Now we're going to another state. They're going to service their own citizens before they service York County or South Carolina, which I totally understand. I think South Carolina would do the same thing if we had that issue with Georgia and there was a water shortage. We would probably take care of South Carolina first. So I think I don't want to outright deny it, but I would like to give Blue Granite some time to address this issue and get us the information. Because, you know, on a planning, I think we do need to consider capability as part of planning. Otherwise, there's no
And
actual planning.
I think we need a little bit more detail than just, we can handle it, which is what these letters seem to say. It says, we have no problem with that total demand, we can do it, but in the second paragraph, it says, there may need to be system improvements external to the development site to get that done. Well, what are those system improvements? How much is that? What are they investing? What's their current capacity right now? You know, those are and I understand you can't ask those questions, but I think we need to get into that level of detail in our request for them to explain how they say they can handle taking on this additional capacity. I
And
think
how
is
long
that
are
what
those
we're
improvements
asking.
going to take
That's right.
to get up and running?
I think we're all on the same page.
Any further questions or comments of staff? Do we have a motion?
A motion to delay decision again until our next meeting pending additional information. I'm not sure how to make the motion. Am I
Defer.
doing defer?
Defer.
So we're deferring our decision until we get some more details about capacity availability and not just large paragraphs, but actual numbers and details about what they're capable of doing.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I do have one question, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Otherwise, they won't hear you.
I do have one question here. Greg actually stole my thunder regarding the South Carolina Vested Rights Act, but I am concerned about the York County ordinance, and I guess I'm gonna direct that question to the attorney here. What, is there a position that you have regarding that? There is a position. I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
We do have a recommended position. I think it's appropriate for a motion for executive session to advise the board on
Okay.
what the contents of the ordinance, and that'd be the receipt of legal advice on this item.
I would personally like that because I do understand what this letter says and that does concern me. So I would like some legal advice on it.
So can we do a motion for executive session in the middle of another motion?
You can move to suspend the rules and entertain a motion for executive session, and then come back and entertain the motion.
Do you wish to make that?
I move to suspend the rules and, I would like to make I guess, help me with Robert's rule. I move to
Move to
suspend the rules.
and
Make a motion to go to
executive
executive
session.
session for legal advice or legal counsel to the board.
I second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of going to executive session? All right, that looks unanimous. We'll be back. the executive session. So we're going to move back to a motion on approving the extension.
What was the pending motion? What was the pending
The
motion?
pending motion was deferral.
Okay. You can vote on that, or you can proceed in another fashion if you like. But you have a pending motion that you may need to vote upon.
Madam Chairwoman, I would ask permission to speak on behalf of the applicant.
I appreciate that this is not a public hearing, so I appreciate that. If anybody has any specific questions during discussion, then we'll call you back up. Thank you, sir. Okay, to the previous motion, do we have any discussion?
Based on the council that we got here, and I guess I'll say that the people who live in Patlas Cove, I don't live out there, I haven't had the personal experiences, but obviously we've all probably spoken with people who have the problems out there, and I hope this water utility company can get it together. However, as I read the statute, and this is even prior to my reading the letter from Mr. Kimball, read the statute and read the ordinance, the corresponding ordinance, I don't believe legally we have a right to deny this extension. So I am going to ask my fellow board members to vote against deferral, and then I'll make a new motion after that vote is taken.
Is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the deferral? Any opposed to the deferral? Okay, so that fails.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the extension of Palace Cove as recommended by staff.
Any further, do we have a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, that passes. On to the borough at 6th Baxter.
Diane. Oh, there we go. Unless you did that. All right, tonight's first preliminary plat, Marion Ray, zoning planner for York County. Tonight's first preliminary plat is the borough at 6th Baxter. This is the last home, or the last lot owned by Clear Springs Baxter in Baxter Village. This is down in the south end of the section between Sutton Road and I-77. Directly to the south there is the assisted living home, and there's a medical complex next to it, and some single family to the right. There's open space to the north there, and then commercial along Sutton Road. So this is about 20 acres. I'm sorry, 2.5 acres. I'm getting a couple of different projects flipped in my head. With 20 townhomes. All of them will be alley accessed, rear accessed. The homes on the right there, front open space that I was talking about earlier. The homes on the left, front Hughes Street. You can see there's a commercial driveway at the top there. They have the correct separation requirements. It also provides a buffer, which is not required, a landscape buffer from the commercial area. One of the challenges they had on this site was the utility lines that run basically up and down on this plat, and that's why there's the gap there. They had to cross the utility lines perpendicularly. That's the only way Duke would have let them do that. So that was one of the big challenges for this site. We'll go through the findings here. I don't know why this thing hates me. For the developer providing willingness and capability letters, they have been provided from York County. These are York County utilities, so both water and sewer will be provided by York County. One of these to have. Oops, I think I bumped it. I'm trying to be good. All right, proposed land use and density complies with the zoning district. A single family is, residential is an allowed use, and the provided density is comparable to the rest of the Baxter Village development. Baxter Village does not have a density requirement, nor do they have an open space or tree save requirement. It's comparable for the entire development. A Tier 1 TIA was submitted and concluded that no mitigation was required because it's going to have minimal to no impact on the level of services around that area. For pedestrian safety and access, it's Baxter Village. So they do have sidewalks going around the edges of the development and through the development, both for the residents and for the public. Mostly the interior sidewalks would be for access to the mail kiosk, that kind of thing. Baxter Village doesn't require open space or buffering inside the development. However, 1.2 acres inside the development are landscaped for the use of the residents. And tree save areas were not required and are not provided. It was a fairly scrubby lot. There were not many trees of any size. Do you have any questions for staff?
Hearing no questions, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, that looks unanimous. On to Crystal Lakes.
All right, Crystal Lakes is an older subdivision. Final plat of this section was in 2010. We are requesting, I'm putting forth an application to change the use of one of the platted lots in the subdivision. It was not platted as a buildable lot, it was platted as future development. It's extremely unusual, I've never seen it before. But the lot is buildable according to the applicant. So here, it's in the far back corner of Crystal Lakes. It does have a very odd shape. It was labeled future development on both the preliminary plat and the final plat. The lot it's kind of going around is actually a cemetery. It's a 1 acre cemetery that was platted at least since the 80s. That's the earliest plat reference I can find. I'm not an expert, I'm sure there are older ones. This is within the Crystal Lakes subdivision. You can see farther out on Breckenridge is kind of the phase 1. This is phase 2 in the back, and Newport Lakes is to the south there. And here is the lot. You can see that our code requires a 10-foot buffer against the cemetery. So that is what is shaded there along that lot line. And there's also easement going to the cemetery, which is required by state law. You have to provide access to all platted cemeteries. The lot itself is around 12,000 square feet. Outside of the buffer area, it's roughly 8,000 square feet. We kind of did the rough math. I'm not an engineer. But it would still be above the 7,500 square foot minimum that was approved by the preliminary plat in 2008. Let's see, we can go on through the findings here. There we go, now it's working. Again, this one is going to be serviced by York County Water and Sewer. We have received a letter. It's just one additional lot. We're calling it Lot 71 instead of future development. Every time this thing wants to work, then it doesn't want to. Proposed land use, single family is an allowed use. Contemporary code, when this was created, did not have a density requirement. And it had the minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet, which was a bonus for provision of utilities. For this particular revision, a TIA was not required. It's just a single lot. The lot is accessed by the existing Chalice Court, maintained by York County, and sidewalks were not required as part of the original development. And the entire phase, this phase 2 in the back, provides 3.67 acres of recreational and open space, in excess of the 2.3 required by the code at the time, and any code that we have right now. The future development was not included in the open space calculation. And then the next one, there were no other zoning and subdivision requirements for this one. We did have a suggested recommendation, a condition for approval. A 10-foot undisturbed buffer around the existing cemetery to be platted separately from the subject parent parcel and recombined with the contiguous development buffer owned by Crystal Homes. We do have a new code section that does require the buffers to be platted separately. That's new as of March 1st. So we wanted to kind of put that in there to kind of cover any bases if you felt like it was necessary. Otherwise, it would just be part of the setback from the lot. You have any questions for staff?
Could we go back to that picture? Okay, so 10 feet to the cemetery, but then is there an additional setback requirement inside that lot in
There would be,
addition to that?
yes.
Which is another 10 feet?
Another 10 feet.
So they wind up with 32 feet, but then they have a lot next to them, so there's 10 feet off that, so they have 22 feet?
Right.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, you are.
So this is gonna be a series of tiny homes lined up, just in a row, or
It would just be the one lot.
holy smokes? Like a container, 3 containers that they're doing those, okay. Wow.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
Actually, I do have one question. So you said that it was an unusual designation initially. Was that known, like that it could be developed within the neighborhood?
I have no idea. Anybody who was on staff at that time has moved on. Future development is weird. I've never seen that. I've been in planning for quite a few years, and if it's not in the code, I don't know why they,
So it kind of implies that there could be some future development there, but doesn't
and
necessarily
I believe
say.
they thought they were going to extend farther, basically to the east here off Chalice Court. It does stub out there, but 2008, 2010 was the big recession, so things kind of ended hurriedly. But,
And is this the original builder?
I'm sorry?
The applicant, is that the original builder?
No.
Or is this a new builder that's come in and found a lot?
It was owned, this lot, parcel was owned by Crystal Homes, and they were selling off,
What was left?
yeah.
Gotcha.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion that we approve it with staff's recommendation. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, that looks unanimous. On to rezoning 2203.
Good evening, everybody. This is a rezoning case number 2203 for Bull Creek LLC. It's on 975 McCaffrey Court in York. The tax map number is 44300000002. Give it a sec here. Just look it up. So the request this evening is to rezone a 155-acre parcel from RUD to RMX 10. And the purpose for the rezoning is to build a manufactured home park of 409 lots for dwelling units of 2.63 dwelling units per acre, with a minimum site size of 2,000 square feet. The property is located on Highway 5, just east of the city of York, before you get to the Rock Hill area. As you can see here, it's mostly wooded, There is an existing mobile home park on there of about 60 units that were there. The intention will be to get rid of those and come back with a whole new development. Topography here, it sort of slopes down, nothing major through here. The zoning for the area here is primarily RUD. Almost the entire area here is RUD. And these are larger lots. Some subdivisions have been created as well, but these are usually 1 acre to 3 to 5 acre lots in the area here. The comprehensive plan for the area shows rural residential, which is typically going to be large lots, 1 acre lots in this area here. The site plan for this project here is showing here. This is, like I said, it's 409 units. These are not subdivided lots. These are just showing you where the sites or the pads where they had put the manufactured homes. Also has amenities area. It will be served by utilities from the city of York. The comprehensive plan here does show rural residential for low density uses, agricultural homesteads. Next. We're recommending denial for this request here. This is not consistent with the actual comprehensive plan. This is not low density residential. This is not what you would see in the area here. This is much smaller lots, a lot of homes going in here. This would be rezoned to RMX 10, which you typically see more in the urban area where you actually have utilities, where you would have more services there. This area here is pretty much just large single-family homes on 1 acre lots. Any questions from staff or for staff?
I don't have any questions for staff. Is the person who is trying to develop this, is that person here?
Yes, there is.
I do have a question or two for that person. Awesome.
If you could come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Richard G., and it's 136 Main Street in Pineville.
All right, thank you. This lot that you're developing, these homes, will these be, I mean, for lack of a better word, I know we're using the word mobile. Are these mobile homes or manufactured?
Yeah, they're
I understand there's a difference.
Yeah, they're mobile homes. They're brand new. They've come a long way from what you kind of think of in the 70s and 80s, which kind of came from the last housing crisis, really.
Okay.
I personally feel like we're obviously in one now, and it's just the most affordable way to live. So that's the way.
My next question, will individuals own the mobile homes, or will you all own the mobile homes and then rent them to individuals? So individuals will own them and then
Correct.
move them
So-
on this?
Yes.
Let me just ask my
I'm
question,
sorry,
okay? Will individuals own it, move it onto your lot, and then they will just pay a lot rent, but they will own their own house, and at some point, they can move it off if they choose to?
Exactly. So they
Okay.
can have the opportunity to build equity in something instead of being permanent renters. You can have an affordable place
Speak
to
up
live.
just a little bit in the microphone.
Oh, sorry. I'm a little nervous here. But yeah, the idea is that they would, have the opportunity to build equity in something rather than be just permanent renters. So, a lot of folks end up getting in this situation where they're stuck and they're kind of cut out from financial markets traditionally. And, they're paying $1,400 a month in rent because they can't afford a mortgage.
You don't have to sell it to me. I get it.
Yeah.
So they would not be able to purchase the lot, just the
Correct.
just the home.
Yeah, it's almost like a hybrid between apartments and,
Mm-hmm.
owning your own. But you at least have something, and, if you want to sell it or if you want to move it off, just for like younger families, I guess, before they buy their own plot of land.
Thank you. Any
Thank
further questions of the applicant?
No, I don't have
Thank
any
you.
of that. Thank you. Staff, I do for Ms. Deal. And so staff's reason for wanting to deny this is,
It's the number of units. So you're looking at 409 units going in here in this location. And the area here is much larger lots. They're 1 acre lots. The TIA that was done for here, there were some issues with that as well, trying to be able to service this property here coming out onto Highway 5. So it's basically, the character for rural residential is 1 acre lots. And I understand the issue here, it's where do we then put manufactured homes, if not in the rural area? So it's a difficult thing to be able to figure out. It's just that there are so many units on here. They actually, and they're coming in at 2.6, they aren't showing what they could do. They could, if they get utilities, 1,200 lots could go on here. They could also do, if they can get services for utilities, 620. So they're showing here 409. They could be intending to do 409, but they could also do 1,200. And that's a lot of units coming out on Highway 5. And that's our concerns.
So I have two questions. My first question is there a number that we could make, or do we have the authority to? Because I am concerned about affordable housing, and everybody can't afford the $400,000 houses here in York County, right? So obviously, I'm going to support anywhere where we can get people who can own their own places and have some confidence in owning their own place. But my question is there a number that the county, if the county won't recommend 206, is there a number that they would? And secondly, if we were to approve, could we approve it where they can't expand it up to 1,200, that they can't go any higher than whatever number this board approves?
I know we do allow conditions, and we typically like to have those that are going to be things like additional buffers, hours of operations, those sorts of things. We may be able to add a condition about number of units. If they were to come back in here and redevelop this property as it's currently zoned, they probably could get in here 140 homes, because it would be 1 acre lot homes.
Homes or manufacturing? I assume they don't want to sell their land, that's why.
No, they would be, like, just assuming they weren't gonna kind of come, they could by right build, if they were gonna subdivide it, probably get 140 1 acre lots on here. So that's what they can do here right now. So some number between that and whatever you're comfortable with number would be what you would limit it to, if you're gonna go that route. But we aren't giving a recommendation for that.
And, I mean, to me, this looks like spot rezoning.
It would be considered that as well, because
Right.
comprehensive plan doesn't support that.
Which
There's
is a
nothing in the
big
area here
issue.
that does that, and so it would be also considered a spot rezoning.
And then it looked like one of your concerns is if you do get utilities out here, then you're gonna be having more coming in around it, higher and higher density all up Highway 5.
Yes,
Which changes the whole character of that area.
right.
And I'm with you. I have seen what housing prices have done. We definitely need to encourage some affordable housing, but this area, I think you're changing the whole character of this area.
And there's nothing keeping them in the current zoning designation from, like you said, putting 140 lots, right?
Something like that, yeah, 1 acre lots, we figured some roads and everything in there.
And could they put mobiles on?
In RUD, yes, they can do
Yeah.
mobile.
Well-
Manufactured homes, they could just get fewer, and the cost of the land and everything is
I
there.
think what we're saying is there's an option that they could sell their land, or they could develop their land and sell the land. What I'm hearing the gentleman say is they're not interested in selling the land. They're interested in, I guess, residual income by putting mobile homes there. He can't put mobile homes there.
In RUD 1, he can build manufactured homes, that's correct. Which is the same thing as the mobile home. It's just a new term.
Okay, because
So in RUD, that district allows manufactured homes. So by right, they can build 140 manufactured home lots on that.
and I want to make sure I'm not confused, because
Okay.
I'm having a brain. When you say build, when I think of a mobile home, I think you bring it
Place.
in on wheels.
Sure,
Okay.
place.
So we're talking about the
Same
same
thing.
thing. So you're saying currently how it's zoned now, they could put 140
Roughly.
roughly, but what they're here for is asking for 200, and that's what you're recommending
They're
more
asking
about.
for 409.
400 and something. Okay.
409.
All right,
Yeah, they're
I'm
asking
with
for
you.
more than that.
I'm with you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? Did you have one?
No.
Okay. Do
Can
we
I
have a
make a
motion?
comment?
Yes, you may. Well, actually, comments come after a motion.
Okay.
So do we have a motion?
Motion to deny. Or motion to accept staff's recommendation to deny it in its current way that it's being presented.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Aubrey seconded. Discussion?
No, I'm good.
Oh, you're good now? Okay. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to add that I agree with Montrose' statements that we need some more lower income housing, affordable housing in the area. I think this was a little too aggressive, but I would encourage them to go back and look at it and plan and come up with something between that 140 and 409 that might make a little more sense for the area overall. So don't take this as a discouragement that we don't want to see this happen at all, but we think there needs to be a little bit more research done, and how can we do this without it being quite such a huge splash all at once?
Going from our
Ditto.
second largest lot requirement to our absolute smallest lot requirement. That's a big change in at one time. Okay.
All right.
Any
Ditto.
further discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion to deny? Okay. Item 2210.
Okay, case number 2210 at 3217 Celanese Road in Rock Hill. This is two parcels, 592-0201-122 and 592-0201-123. The request here is to rezone these two parcels for 1.72 acres from RSF 40 to OI, which is the new office and institutional district. Used to be the old BD2. The applicant proposes here is to convert the existing house into an office use. The property is located off of Celanese Road at the intersection of Celanese and Twin Lakes Road, these two parcels right here. As you can see, they're both mostly wooded. There is a house in there. The one property to the left is vacant. There is a house and a very small, like a shed or a carport. For environmental, there is a creek that runs near there, and if you've ever driven past this area here, there is a very large gully that kind of runs along Celanese and down Twin Lakes as well. So there is some sort of topography issue and a creek through there, but behind that is still a good lot, but there is some challenges. The zoning map here, most of the area here is RSF 40. There is some RMX 20. And then across the way there, you'll see there's some OI existing right now. That came in for rezoning a few years back. Intention was there to put assisted living. Hasn't happened yet. But most of the area here is RSF 40. The comprehensive plan is neighborhood residential, which is for the entire area here. And that use is typically single-family homes, 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre. But you can do some neighborhood-serving commercials if you look at the intersection of two major roads. So for this one, we are recommending approval because it is located at the intersection of two major roads. And it's probably going to utilize this house here to be able to fit part of the environment and to make an office use on Celanese Road. Recommending approval.
Are there any questions of staff?
I have a question. Remind me again, what's allowable in OI?
OI is pretty much its office. So it's probably the least intensive non-commercial district. So you can do medical office, doctor's office, any kind of office building. I don't think you can do any kind of daycare, but you might be able to, or institutional uses, schools, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But this is a very small site.
Yeah.
And anything that's done in there has to recognize you're going to have parking areas and buffering and everything too, so you really couldn't get a whole lot anyway on this piece of property.
Right. Just asking for clarification.
Any
Will
further
it-
questions?
Will it be accessed off of Twin Lakes?
I would imagine no. I imagine it'll, because of the topography right there and also the location near the light to come through there, they already have an existing driveway on the far eastern part of the property. If this thing will work.
Yeah, I can see it on the.
It's over here, and so I think it's probably the safest place to do it. Coming off of here by the light, that wouldn't work well, so it'll go off there.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
As staff recommends.
Do we have a second? Oh, second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Excellent. On to item 22-11.
Okay, 22-11 for TNT Express in Tamarillo, Gayton. At 3967-4015 Saluda Road. Tax map number is 525-0000-012. The request here is to rezone a parcel that's 14 acres from AGC to RUD. And their intention here is to build a 11-lot, single-family residential neighborhood. Properties on Saluda Road, south of Rock Hill. The property currently has 5 or 6 mobile homes on there. At this time here, we're showing 5, but I've seen some with 6. Behind that is, we think is like a peach grove perhaps, but there's some farming going on in the area, but this actually is a small manufactured rental area. Not much for the topography here for the environmental, nothing to. The zoning in the area here is a combination of RUD and AGC. The AGC, as I was showing before, that's pretty much that farming areas, the peach stand, the peach farms. And then across the road is RUD, where that's pretty much already been subdivided out for single-family homes. Comprehensive plan for the area here is agricultural. The plan here, what they intend to build, as I said, it was 11 single-family lots. There'll be one road coming in off of Saluda, buffer around the perimeter. This is outside of the urban services boundary, so therefore it doesn't require to have open space, but that's all taken care of in the site plan approval. We're looking at a matter of fact of just 11 homes at this location. The comprehensive plan for the area, like I mentioned, is agricultural, which is typically going to be farming, but it does have some complementary land uses like small subdivisions can go with it as well. We are recommending approval because this is mostly consistent with the comprehensive plan. It is low-density residential, and this is found within the area here, something typical, similar to this.
Do we have any questions of staff?
I do got one quick one here. So help me distinguish a little bit between RUD and PD in this situation,
Well, there's no PD.
okay?
So I'm not sure where you're grabbing that
I'm
one.
not
It's
following
AGC.
my special color-coded chart right now. I'm on it.
It's currently zoned AGC, which is agricultural. And
Yes,
that's
yes,
area-
no, I'm sorry, but they're asking for
RUD,
RUD.
right.
Okay, and so what's the distinction between doing RUD and doing PD? What, just from my general understanding, why would?
PD is something totally different. So I'm not too sure what the question, why you're asking about PD.
Well, it looks like a neighborhood that's being planned, so that's what I was trying to understand.
So
Should it-
PD is a zoning district, and with that zoning district, you'd have a mixture of uses. You would have
Okay.
residential, commercial. This is not what they're doing, so.
Okay, so that's just a clarification for me that you could actually have a development that was planned that went into RUD with several homes in it beyond this number, and it still wouldn't fall into the PD category,
Right,
or
I think
we
you're-
wouldn't ask them to do it as PD.
That's very correct.
Okay, that's what I
Yes.
was trying to clarify.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and residential was just recently removed from PD, wasn't it?
That was UD.
Oh, that's UD, you're right.
Right, so yes, PD must have well,
We're not,
yes.
we're not
mixture
really
of uses.
doing PD anymore though, are we?
We haven't seen a whole lot lately. I haven't seen one probably
I
since
mean, it's been
2013.
years. Yeah, okay. I kind of thought we were getting away from the,
Well, and also with Recode, we now have added mixed-use district, which is going to be more helpful to be able to do these mixture of uses. That's a whole different district, and we have other ones to use as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse the issue. It's not necessarily about this. I was trying to understand why they wouldn't have asked for PD or what the advantages of one or the other
Sure,
was.
so one thing for PD is you must have a mixture of uses. You cannot have one single use in a PD. It has to have, required by state law.
Thank you very much.
Sorry?
So currently you said there were mobile homes on the map
Right.
that were rentals?
They're rentals, yes.
Okay.
They'll be removed when they're ready to move forward.
Is that an allowed use in AGC for the way that it is now?
This is non-conforming use. Yes.
any further questions of staff? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, passes. Any questions or comments on the tracking sheet? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.